Well, hello. Hey, how are you? I just realized I didn't change my name. My apologies. Let me just do that right now. Paying attention to 9 other things and did not pay attention to the one thing that I actually should have paid the most attention to. So I'll just change this up real quick now, and we'll get on our way because you know what? I think that's what we should be doing. All right. So it is Friday, February 6th, and a lot of stuff has happened this week, if you were not already well aware. And I don't know how you couldn't be. Stuff happened, things took place, and we are going to talk about some of them. I am trying to fix something here in the background while I'm talking to you. We did experience a bit of a resurgence in insanity, largely due to the fact that we have a politician who believes he has the right, rhyme, and reason to speak on behalf of the government of Canada, but he does not. Of course, I'm referring to Jamil Jivani, who decided that he would fly down to Washington, D.C. and speak on behalf of the government of Canada, of which he is not a member. He is not. He's not part of the government of Canada. He is a conservative member of parliament who does not represent Canadian interests because he's not the government of Canada. He just went down to have lunch with his buddy and then act like he did something. So he's taking a cue from Pigeon Pierre by playing chess or checkers, I guess, whichever one you want, and knocking the pieces off the board, shitting all over the place, and then strutting his wings like he's won something. This man's a menace. I have a million things to talk about, and I'm only going to talk about a couple. Now, I apologize I've not been available this week. It's been, last week was rough, emotionally, mental health wise. It was a brutal week, and I couldn't do anything physically or emotionally. I just couldn't do anything last week, and this week has been an improvement upon that. But that's why you've not seen any 4 o'clock shows from me, and I apologize. I intend to give you more of those, and I am working on a few things. I got a couple of serials or 4 or 5 part episodes that I want to put together. Some of them may have to be recorded because of the way my schedule is working now, but either way, I will get you more stuff, and I apologize for being absent for so long. So let's get to the meat of today's topic, if you will. U.S. interest in Alberta separatism raises red flags over what might come next. Russia used Ukrainian separatists as a Trojan horse. Could it happen here? Now, this is from Evan Dyer on CBC News. And this story, I'm going to read it to you, and I'm going to discuss it with you. Communications between the Trump administration and Alberta's separatist movement raised alarm at the highest levels in Canada last week. It also raised questions about Washington's possible intentions. Some even see dangerous parallels between American efforts to inflame Alberta separatism and the Russian campaign to gin up a separatist movement in eastern Ukraine a decade ago. An Alberta separatist group has been speaking openly about meetings with the U.S. State Department. Rumors that they may have a referendum or whether they want to stay in Canada or not. U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent told right-wing channel Real America's Voice following those meetings. People want sovereignty. They want what the U.S. has got. The department regularly meets with civil society types, a U.S. State Department spokesperson confirmed to CBC News, as is typical in routine meetings such as these. No commitments were made. I mean, are we talking treason here? I'm not 100% sure. Possibly. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a charter lawyer. I'm not a constitutional lawyer. I'm not that smart. So I don't know if this is treason. I can't define it as treason. Maybe it is. I don't know. It's not for me to say, but it seems treasonous to me because this is an individual seeking guidance, money, and a pathway to sovereignty from a foreign government. This is an individual, not a government in charge of the province. When they say, well, what about Quebec? Well, Quebec, when they talk separation, they had a referendum and it did not pass. But it was also the BQ or the PQ, I can't remember what it was in 92, 93, when, at the last time they had a referendum, that was in power in that province. And they had the right to negotiate with other governments if they wanted to, as they were considering separation. What's happening in Alberta right now is a bunch of individuals who think they are something special. Give me a second while I take a sip of beer. Yeah, it's beer. It's Friday night. Speaking of beer, on my way home, I went out with usually I meet a same group of guys every Friday, and we usually meet at the Lieutenant's Pump. However, every now and then we'll meet at Flora Hall, which is just around the corner from here. A friend of ours is the owner and great guy, and we go there occasionally. So we went there this evening, and on the way home, I was walking past the Lick Bow. For those of you who do not live in the economic engine of Canada, that is the province of Ontario. That's the LCBO, the Liquor Control Board of Ontario. And they are the provincial purchaser of alcohol, and they purchase more alcohol than any other organization on earth. I know that sounds crazy because, Canada's, 41.5 million people, but the thing is, the province of Ontario, all liquor, beer and wine, including what is sold in corner stores for beer and wine, is purchased by the LCBO. They are the largest single individual purchaser of alcohol on planet Earth. Yes, there are countries like the United States of America that certainly purchase a lot more, but they're not. You're talking about small mom and pop shops, individual corner stores, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They don't purchase as much as we do. So anyway, walking past the Lick Bow, and I stopped in to grab a couple of Pilsner Urquells because I haven't had one in a while and I wanted one. And as I wandered past the whiskey aisle, I was taking a look to see if I could find Slane, which is my favorite Irish whiskey, and it's still not available here. But I did happen upon a new Canadian whiskey that I thought I would share with you because I think you're going to enjoy this as much as I'm hoping to. And Mr. Beaver, who is on vacation in Mexico right now, I think is going to enjoy this as well. This is Beaver's Dram. Dram whiskey. Beaver's Dram, premium Canadian corn whiskey. Now there was a wheat one, but I got the corn one only because the logo in the rye one, the rye based whiskey, wheat, which is rye. The Beaver is wearing a suit, and this one he's wearing, super Canadian wear. Take a look at that. Get closer there. I don't want a toque, plaid jacket. I mean, come on. That's as Canadian as it gets, right? So I'm going to break into this some point in the show and pour myself a dram. But between now and then, I want to talk to you a little bit more about Alberta separation. Oops, I knocked over a lamp. Alberta separation and the possible treasonous activities of the premier of the province, Danielle Smith. So let's get back to it. From the Scott, was it Scott? Is it Scott Besant? I don't know what his name is. Anyway, he says, people want sovereignty. They want what the U.S. has got. The department regularly meets with civil society types. A U.S. State Department spokesperson confirmed to CBC News, as is typical in routine meetings such as these. No commitments were made. Alberta separatist Jeffrey Rath, probably the second dumbest lawyer in Canada after Eva Chipiuk, says least one of those meetings was held in a SCIF, which stands for Sensitive Compartmented Information Facility, a room purpose-built to defeat sophisticated foreign intel eavesdropping. Now, let's talk about destabilization tactics. Maria Popova, a political science professor at McGill University and author of 2 books on Russian-Ukrainian relations, sees the meetings as evidence that we're now under hybrid attack from the U.S. Heed that warning. Pay attention. Our good friend Hugh of Borg talked to us about this recently. Told us this is what is happening. She says the meetings are part of a larger strategy of repetitive denials of our existence as an independent state. Patrick Lennox, a former RCMP intel manager and author of the book, in quotes now, the book, At Home and Abroad, the Canada-U.S. Relationship and Canada's Place in the World, end quote, says U.S. interference efforts can also take less visible forms. The U.S. has declared a form of information warfare against us. They're going to use everything that they can to destabilize our country, to disrupt us, potentially to break us apart in order to execute on their national security strategy, he said. I don't know if you can hear Lola in the background. She's got her head on my knee and she's panting away. Beyond direct U.S. government interference is a more amorphous campaign of influencers in U.S. President Donald Trump's Make America Great Again movement, such as Matt Wallace, 2.3 million followers on X, who lend support to homegrown Alberta separatists online. It makes, in quotes, it makes sense that you go for the low-hanging fruit, seeing Alberta as a province that could peel off based on the supposedly surging separatist sentiments there, said former Canadian diplomat and international lawyer Sabine Nolke. I hope I pronounced her name correctly, or is it his? I'm not sure. Oh, her name. Nolke was Canada's permanent representative for the international courts at The Hague, as well as an ambassador to the Netherlands until 2019. She says MAGA's embrace of Alberta separatism doesn't necessarily mean the U.S. has a concrete plan to annex the province, but to sow confusion, doubt, and discomfort, the sense that Canada is fragile. In quotes, I would like to suggest that the government do a bit of research into this, just to gauge how much of an astroturfed artificial threat this whole separatist operation is in the model of the Donbass, Nolke said. A fringe movement storms to power. The Donbass is the eastern Ukrainian region where, in 2014, Russian agents and Russian money leveraged a small homegrown separatist movement to take over Ukraine's industrial heartland. Politicians in the Donbass had no real intention of separating, but thought they could use separatist agitation to extract concessions from Kyiv, said Popova. A dramatic miscalculation. The separatists seized power and declared the Donetsk and Luhansk People's Republics, following votes overseen by armed militiamen. In 2022, a second round of coerced voting annexed the Donbass to Russia. Popova sees parallels between the Donbass and the Alberta government's approach. Alberta Premier Danielle Smith has repeatedly said that the fate of Alberta rests with Albertans, while also passing legislation make it easier for a referendum question on separation to succeed. After BC's premier called the Alberta separatist meetings in Washington treason, Smith said she would not demonize or marginalize a million of my fellow citizens when they've got legitimate grievances. That's the danger here, said Popova. If they think we're powerful enough, we have legitimacy. We've been elected. We are the leaders of this province. So we can play this game with Ottawa. Meetings in Washington. Rath, co-founder of the Alberta Prosperity Project, told CBC News that the Americans are extremely enthusiastic about the prospect of a free and independent Alberta. In his meetings with officials who he refused to name, interesting, Rath said all they want is North American security. They want China out of the Alberta oil patch. Fuck, here we go with this asshole. As for meeting in a skiff, it was the only available meeting room. It's not a big deal, he said. Lennox doesn't buy that explanation. I've been in American skiffs. You don't get in there by accident. You shed all your electronics. It's a secret meeting, he said. Texans of the North. Last week, MAGA-affiliated social media accounts pushed a vision of Alberta as oppressed and exploited by the rest of Canada. Similar memes and messages are created and shared by accounts based in Canada and the US. You can see artificial intelligence being used to drive narratives about Alberta being almost like Texas, said Lennox. Memes and other AI-generated nonsense suggest that there's a large Texan immigrant population in Alberta that's yearning to be free. Those claims echo Russian propaganda in 2014 that pushed the idea that Eastern Ukrainians were culturally more Russian than Ukrainian and would be more at home with people like them. They are effective partly because Canadians, including Albertans themselves, tend to overestimate how conservative Albertans really are, at least on social issues. Texans and Albertans may share a love of rodeo, but their politics have little in common. For example, a 2022 poll suggested 8% of Albertans believe that abortion should be banned except to save a woman's life, compared to 11% of British Columbians and Quebecers and 13% of Ontarians. In Texas, 42% believe abortion should be illegal in all or most cases. There are generationally deep conservative elements to the province, says Lennox, who lives in Edmonton. But the claim that Alberta is the Texas of the North is a psyop in many ways. Canada controlled by communist China. The main justification for separation advanced by Russian propaganda in 2014 was that Ukraine had been taken over by Nazis and was becoming a satellite of NATO and the West. Nazis and NATO. Anybody with an ounce of brain power, ability to think critically or read, or has actually studied history more than last week would know that Nazis and NATO are not friends. But hey, propaganda is propaganda, and some people are going to be stupid enough to believe the shit that they are told. Bear with me while I take a sip of beer. Throat's getting dry. In the information war for Alberta, Chinese communists play a similar role. Rath told CBC News that his American counterparts merely seek to prevent a Chinese takeover. After Carney's bizarre New World Order speech, Rath said, we don't know that he's not an agent of Communist China. I'd love to know how tight the tinfoil hat is on this dumb motherfucker. On January 25th, Trump posted on his Truth Social account, China is successfully and completely taking over the once great country of Canada. So sad to see it happen. I tried my best, Trump. I'm not trying to imitate him because I hate the man so much. I don't want his voice in my head. And if I do an imitation, the voice is in my head. So anyway, Trump has twice said in recent days, this is not written correctly. Sorry. I'll read it as it's written, but it does not make sense. Trump has twice in recent days warned that Canada is at risk of a Chinese takeover. Oh, no, it's my dyslexia. My apologies. I mixed up the words. Saying both times the takeover would be followed by a ban on hockey. Gaslight and overwhelm. The disinformation war unleashed on Ukraine in 2014 aimed to create a sense of inevitability around the breakup of the country. It's essentially a gaslighting strategy telling you that you've already lost your state. There's nothing to fight for, said Popova. That's also part of the rhetoric here. Separatist social media messaging aims not only at an Albertan or Canadian audience, but also at persuading a U.S. audience that Albertans are oppressed and really do want out. If conflict ever did arise outside of audiences might be more likely to see it as a dispute between Canadians rather than a reaction to foreign interference, said Popova. That was what Russian propaganda achieved in the takeover of the Donbass, she said. When armed separatists seized government buildings, at that point the Ukrainian state had to respond within what they called an anti-terrorist operation. And that's the moment at which the rest of the world said, well, this is a civil war. Civil war. She says Ukraine in 2014 was very different from the tough adversary Russian troops encountered in 2022. Can you believe that's 4 years now that war's been going on? We had a whole Winter Olympic start to finish and start again, and that war is still going. They had not prepared. They did not expect this. Ukrainians found it hard to imagine that their neighbors could turn on them so aggressively, Popova said. And that's another parallel. History suggests it can be difficult to resist a determined effort by a superpower in conjunction with a small but real separatist movement. I don't know, said Lennox. Based on my experience in the machine, if we have the capacity to pivot on something this profound, I hope we do. And that's from Evan Dyer. And I'm just, holy crap. Like that, it's just mind-blowing to me. We are in a very strange time and place right now, my friends. Let's talk for a minute, if we will, about Russians telling people that Ukraine was in the pocket of NATO and was being taken over by Nazis. How many times has Pierre Poilievre tweeted or spoken about how Nazis were socialists because they were called the National Socialist Party? He says, they were socialists, and that's why we can't have it, because it's bad. Okay, either he's the dumbest man in politics or he is trying to gaslight you. And I think it's the latter, not the former. He's trying to gaslight you into believing that socialism is equivalent to Nazism. By his metric, the Democratic People's Republic of North Korea and the People's Republic of China are both democratic republics because their name says so, when we know the difference. We know the truth. We know that they are neither of those things. We are in very strange times, my friends, and I don't know where we go from here. We have rogue members of the opposition party who take it upon themselves to run down to the United States to talk to their college friends about trade. They have no agency to do that. They are not the government of Canada. Jamil Jivani does not represent this country or its government. He is an individual who is a politician and a sitting member of parliament in the opposition, but he's not in government. He has no right, rhyme, or reason to go down there thinking he can represent us as a nation. He has none. Nor does Poilievre. I don't know where Jivani thinks he can get off doing. You ever want to grab somebody by their lapels, literally pull them forehead to forehead and go, what the fuck is wrong with you? You are not right in the goddamn head. You can't do what you're doing. Stop. I don't get to do those things. None of us do. But boy, it would be fun to do it, wouldn't it? All right, let's shift gears a little bit here. And I'm going to crack this bottle of Beaver's Dram Premium Canadian Corn Whiskey. Oh, it's got a bit of a bite to it, 46%. Produced and bottled by Dunrobin Distilleries Limited, Van Cleek Hill, Ontario. It's like literally down the road where Van Cleek Hill is where Beau's brews their beer, which is a local microbrewery. Now, I don't know if this is affiliated with Beau's or not. Under license, Seven Seals Innovation Canada. That's Canadian, and it's locally distilled. So let's give it a go, shall we? Give this a little. Oh, nice bouquet. Oh, yeah. If you're a whiskey drinker, it's a nice bouquet. Look at that color. Oh, wasn't that a gorgeous color? I only drink my whiskey neat, which means, for those of you who don't know, whiskey, glass, c'est tout. There you go. Let's give it a. Oh, that's got a really nice bouquet. It's got a bit of a kick to it. So, I got fingerprints all over the glass now. Alas. All right, let's give it a sip. We'll give it a go. Okay. Not as big as a bite as I would have thought for, 46%. I might be tasting a hint of vanilla, but I think there was some, literally, I think there was molasses. Oh, hang on. I didn't do that correctly. I just swallowed it. Hang on. We'll try this one more time. I'll do the proper. Now, when you do that, what I just did is you put a little bit of it on your tongue and draw breath over it. It really enhances the power of it, and that's when you feel it. Because if I just sip on it alone, I don't find it that strong. But when I did what I just did, it's a punch to the gut. But it brings all the flavors out. It's very nice. Would I make it my regular whiskey? How regular is regular? I don't. I like whiskey. I prefer it neat, as you can see. It's just whiskey in glass, but I don't have it often. I think the last time I had one was probably November. So, what's regular? I like Crown Royal. I like Writer's Tears. Slane is my favorite Irish whiskey, but this is a nice one. Beaver's Dram. I love the logo, so that's why I thought I'd give it a go. It's not cheap though. It's many ounces, 750 ml. That was about $49. So they're not giving it away. That was a treat for me on a Friday because I thought, what the heck? And I had no plans to do that. I just happened to see it and went, oh, Mr. Beaver will love that. He'll never drink it because he's not a whiskey drinker. But either way, I thought I'd give that a go. And I quite like it. So yeah, there you are. So, folks, I hope you've all been well. I was in Yellowknife for a week for work, and that literally kicked the hell out of me because of the travel. My first flight, I flew from Ottawa to Toronto, and my connecting flight was canceled, so I had to spend a night in a hotel in Toronto. And they're like, well, you got to check out at 11 a.m. And I go, but my flight's not till 9 p.m. And I goes, for another $50, you can check out at 6 p.m. I'm like, charge it up, my good man, charge it up right away. So I thought about, and I did shoot a little video while I was there. I thought about hopping on the Pearson Express and going downtown for a bit, but it's kind of like, you know what? I'm exhausted. I got to the airport 2.5 hours before my flight because I thought, there's Lola. I thought that it might be busy security-wise. I got through security in 5 minutes in Ottawa. And when I went to sit down, I discovered my flight was delayed by an hour. So that, Oh, you okay, Lola? She's fine. So that changed things up a bit. So that delayed my travel by a bit. So it was 3.5 hours before I actually got on the plane to fly to Toronto. And when I landed, my flight was canceled. And it's like, I could go downtown, but I'm just burnt out and exhausted, and I have to work Monday morning. I had to be up and meet my colleagues for 6:30 on Monday morning to go into the office and get some work done. And it was literally a 1-minute commute. It was a very short drive. And we did drive because it was minus 50, and, that's a lot. Hang on. I'll get Lola up in the frame, see if I can get her. Come on up, sweetheart. Come on up. Come on up. Come on up, Lola. Come on, sweet girl. There you are. Look. Oh, look at that girl. Look at right there, up there. Yeah. Do you see all the stuff? Hey, pretty girl. Oh, what a pretty girl you are. What a pretty girl you are. I love this girl so much. She's been a great support to me while I've been battling some mental health issues. Look, I haven't been doing ASMR because I'm battling more mental health issues than I've let on. Daily functioning is what I'm just trying to get through right now. It's to function every day, get up, go to work, not hate myself, and be a good colleague and coworker. And I've been doing my best to do that. Hey, Lola. This girl has been a great supporter of me as of late. So anyway, I'm going to try and get back to the ASMR stuff on my other channel and talk about what I've been experiencing as much as I'm willing to talk about it, because some of the things that I'm dealing with are, you know, pretty private. Like, I mean, look, let's be honest with one another here. I'm open about the fact that I have depression, ADHD, and general anxiety disorder. But some things that contribute to that, I'm not ready to talk about in an open format. And I hope you can respect that. I want to help as many people as I can, but some things I need to keep to myself, if that makes any sense to you. And that's, where I am right now. Anyway, I am going to let you folks go. Thanks for joining in on a Friday evening. Yes, Lola. Yes, Lola. Yes. What a good girl. Well, it was 6 years ago this week that I hit the lowest point of my entire life. In February of this time in 2020, I was in the darkest depth of depression I'd ever been in. And I was in a really bad situation. Getting out of bed in the morning was ridiculously difficult. And that's when I had called my doctor and I said, listen, I got to do something. I can't handle this anymore. And he put me on medication, but I think it's time to either increase the medication or augment it for something else or do the psilocybin. I don't know, but either way, um, I need things to change because I can't continue like this. Not that I'm suffering horribly right at the moment. Obviously, I'm not. I've got this beautiful gal with me, but I have definitely I've definitely had some rough times as of late, and that's why you've not seen as much of me, because when you get home from work and you've spent all of your power and energy just to be a good coworker and be in a good mood at work and be happy and be productive, when you get home, you have nothing left, no energy. And then, of course, I get home to this 95-pound mastiff beast that I love more than anything in the world, and she needs my attention. So I've not had the time to properly heal. And as a result, it's taken a toll on me. And I think that's why it's taken so long and dragging out for so long. So I'm going to try and do my best to get back to the ASMRs on Mondays, possibly more often. And the 4 o'clock Grizzly Growls, along with my weekly 6 to 6:30. Maybe 6:30, I think, is more appropriate for me because of the way the schedule's working. Lola, what a good girl. All right, folks, thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate each and every one of you. I hope you're going to have a great weekend. I hope you're doing well. And until I see you again, which will be soon, please take care. And do us a favor. And I say us because we are a couple of fellas who do this show. Although this is, so anyway, you know what I mean. If you watch the show enough, you understand that it's a two-man gig, and we do this to try and bring truth and facts to you with some human insight and a little bit of sass every now and then, maybe a little attitude. We'd love for you to share this with as many people as you could on whatever platform you feel is necessary. So if you could do that for me, that'd be great. You take care. We'll see you soon.